That day, the news that I announced my retirement from the entertainment industry swept in, and reporters' cameras followed me everywhere. The scene of Jessica and her white moonlight, Ryan going in and out together was clearly captured, and there was an uproar on the internet. Everyone joked that the magic of the white moonlight was so great that even the movie Emperor could not resist it. But for me, all these storms are no longer important. At this moment, I have decided to say goodbye to this world. The hustle and bustle and glory of the past are now just a gust of wind in my heart, blowing away gently. I said goodbye to Beijing and took a decisive step. The entertainment industry and prosperity behind me seemed to be far away from my world. However, Jessica still occupied her place in people's sight. At that time, she was standing at the press conference of the movie starring by Yuewon. The spotlight was flashing and reporters were scrambling to ask questions. One reporter asked loudly, "Jessica, I heard that William retired from the entertainment industry and wanted to go home for marriage. What do you think?" Jessica's mouth curled up slightly, and she answered as if she had expected it. "He won't." At that moment, her tone seemed to know me well, as if she had seen through all my decisions. The 20-year-old William might have fought for his dream and love in the entertainment industry, but now I am 27 years old. After years of baptism, I finally understand. Life is only 30,000 days long. I should fight for the people I love and those who love me, and no longer be entangled in the world of the past. The male lead of this play is given to Ryan. I don't want to inform you again. Jessica's cold words cut through the air without warning and pierced my heart deeply. Her voice was cold and indifferent, which I had never heard before. It was completely different from the Jessica who used to speak softly to me. I looked at her, and the impatience in her eyes was like a sharp blade, ruthlessly cutting our relationship. "William, is there a problem?" Jessica asked again, her knife and fork hitting the plate fiercely, making a harsh sound, as if her impatient mood was being transmitted to me. I held back the surging emotions in my heart, bit my lips tightly, tried to look away from her annoyed face, and tried hard to calm myself down. At this moment, my phone vibrated, and the buzzing sound seemed to urge me to take the next step of my destiny. I stood up and hurried out of the private room to answer the phone. As soon as I reached the door, I ran into Ryan. At that moment, he looked me up and down, his eyes full of ridicule, and sneered, "I heard that today is your birthday. Jessica asked me to celebrate with you." As he spoke, he deliberately raised his wrist and shook the green Submariner watch that Jessica bought for him at high price. The surface flashed a dazzling light under the light, as if silently announcing his current status. I just nodded silently, walked around him, and went to a quiet corner to answer the phone. On the other end of the phone, my sister's familiar lazy voice came. "Happy birthday, big star. Grandpa's back. You have to be prepared. The marriage, I guess." The marriage issue that I had long forgotten suddenly came to my mind again. The agreement between my grandfather and his old comrade when they were young has now become a responsibility I must face. I lowered my head and interrupted her softly. "Sister, I know. I will go back for the marriage. I understand the rules of Olivia's family. Before I go back, I will deal with things here and then quit this circle." Back in the private room, the scene in front of me almost made me stop in my tracks. Jessica was sitting next to Ryan intimately, and in front of Ryan was a steak that Jessica had just cut. At that moment, all the memories came flooding back to my mind like a tide. Ryan looked at me, his face full of confidence and pride. "William, Jessica said you were willing to give me the movie Fate. Although this may not be so important to you, for me, the opportunity to return to the film industry cannot be missed." "Thank you, William." His tone was neither tepid nor hot, but full of pride, especially the word William, which was full of obvious irony. I took a deep breath and was about to speak, but she got there first and said coldly, "Ryan, what's there to thank me for? It's just a play. Besides, you are more suitable than William." The moment my eyes met Ryan's, the admiration and love in her eyes were undisguised. The blatant expression of emotion made me feel like an insignificant bystander. The woman who once made my heart beat now became so strange, like another person. My sister's voice suddenly echoed in my ears. William, you want to marry someone, but she may not want to marry you. Don't blame your sister for being blunt. Jessica is just hanging you around. There's no love at all. Those few words, there's no love at all, hit me hard in the heart like a heavy hammer, almost knocking me unconscious. Every word echoed in my mind, as if to destroy me. I suppressed the pain in my heart, tried to force a smile, and said in a calm tone, Director Michael personally invited me to act in this play. I have no right to give up the role without permission. Jessica should know that Michael is always strict in casting, and no one can interfere. I could feel a little self-deprecating when I said this, but I knew that my words could not change anything. Jessica glanced at me with a cold and distant look. That's why I asked you to communicate with the director. At that moment, all the memories came to my mind. From when I first entered the industry to now that I have established a foothold on the big screen, Jessica has always been the one who witnessed my growth. She knows how important Michael's fate is to me. This is not just a movie, but also a milestone in my acting career. But now, I feel that everything is not so important. I fell silent for a long time, and Jessica's impatient voice sounded again. William, is it possible? I pulled the corners of my mouth in self-mockery and responded calmly, yes. But my heart was already in turmoil. I knew that I was no longer the most important person in her heart. Before returning to the private room, I called director Michael and apologized to him. I knew that the 3 years of hard work had become meaningless in an instant. For this play, I worked hard in the drama troupe to hone my acting skills, stayed up late every day to practice, and put in a lot of effort every minute and every second. But now, everything seems to be irrelevant. After hearing the news that I was going to get married, Jessica frowned slightly. The movement was so subtle that it was almost unnoticeable. She obviously didn't expect that I would compromise so easily and give up everything. She turned her head and suddenly changed into a coquettish look. Hey, William, don't be unhappy. I have found a few good scripts for you. You can choose in a few days. Her voice was still sweet, but I could hear that there was a hint of indifference hidden behind it. Once upon a time, I had no resistance to her coquetry, but now I have become numb. Since Ryan returned to China, Jessica has become more and more keen on using this method to coax and seduce me to take away my resources. Whenever Ryan wants something, she always gives him everything without hesitation. Have you forgotten whose girlfriend you are? You're always around me. Ryan's teasing voice came from the side, and my heart sank suddenly. I remember once I asked Jessica, if one day he wants you, will I give you to him? At that time, she told me firmly, he won't. However, today, I understand that her won't is not that she won't let go, but because I have never occupied the most important position in her heart. When we left the restaurant, the first snow fell quietly, and the snowflakes fell to the ground. At that moment, my mood was just like the falling snowflakes, chaotic and restless. Jessica hugged her arms and said coquettishly, "It's so cold." Ryan immediately took off his coat and gently put it on her shoulders. I didn't look at them again, but turned my head away hurriedly. Jessica coughed lightly, then pretended to be angry and shouted to me, "William, why don't you put a coat on me?" This sentence seemed to be a kind of irony to me, and I just smiled silently. My car is here. I'll go first. The nanny car slowly stopped in front of the three of us, and at the same time, a familiar sports car followed. Ryan rubbed Jessica's hair affectionately and teased with a smile, "You, how come you have forgotten whose girlfriend you are, and you are always around me? What will you do if William gets jealous and doesn't want you anymore?" As soon as he said this, Jessica fought back without hesitation. "He won't want me." She put her hands on her waist and glared at Ryan angrily. From beginning to end, she didn't even look at me. That relentless look was like a sweet quarrel between a couple in love. Ryan smiled dotingly and said, "How could I find you annoying, my little ancestor? Please get in the car." He took the car keys handed to him by the parking attendant and opened the door of the sports car like a gentleman. Jessica smiled with her lips curved and dove into the car, as if they were the only two people left in the world. Speaking of which, Ryan was Jessica's first love. In the 3rd year of our relationship, Jessica got drunk and cried and accidentally called out Ryan's name. Ryan, the actor who stood at the top of his career when he debuted, suddenly retired from the entertainment industry and went abroad, and there has been no news since then. That night, I tossed and turned, full of doubts and uneasiness. Until the next day, when Jessica sobered up, she crawled in my arms and told me everything. When I was young, I didn't know what love was. It was only when we met again that I realized that I felt guilty about him before. Since then, I have no idea what happened when they met. I only know that since then, Jessica has become more and more generous to me, throwing all kinds of resources at me as if it were free. She always said that she liked watching me act in movies and liked to see me confident in front of the camera. Just like the day when I auditioned for the first time at the age of 20, Jessica followed the producer to the set to learn. She tried her best to persuade the producer and let me play the leading actor against all odds. Later, the movie became a small hit, and my agent took me to a drinking party and asked me to thank the film's investors. Jessica was there too. I don't know if someone had tampered with my wine or hers. Anyway, she panicked and pulled me out of the box. That night, a lot happened between us, and we did everything we should and shouldn't do. From love at first sight during the audition to that night, I completely fell in love with her. Later, she held me all the way, just like she's holding Ryan now. I came to the apartment Jessica gave me. Since Ryan came back, she rarely came. Occasionally, she came once or twice, and it was also to snatch my notices and resources. She asked me to wait for her in the apartment, and after hearing me say, "It's okay," in person, she left in a hurry. But today, she probably won't come. Before leaving for the apartment, I called the property management to help deliver a few large cardboard boxes. Music was playing in the apartment, and I began to pack up little by little. I took down the photos in the display cabinet one by one. Jessica doesn't like taking pictures, or, to be more precise, she doesn't like taking pictures with me. Most of the photos that can be put together are official photos of us attending business events together. But even so, I still treasure them. After packing the box, Jessica had already sent several scripts to my email and then sent a message. "William, my family and company are very busy recently. I will be on a business trip in the next half month, and I may not be able to reply in time. Once you have made your choice, just contact my assistant directly. Happy birthday, good night." I pulled the corners of my lips and did not reply. Before leaving the apartment, I deleted my fingerprint from the door lock and placed the keys and door cards on the tray of the entrance cabinet. The property staff on the night shift asked me uncertainly, "William, don't you want them anymore?" I replied, "Well, I don't want them anymore. Thank you for helping me deal with them. Thank you for your help." On the day when the official cast of Fate was announced, Jessica, who was on a business trip, called me. "William, are you not satisfied with those scripts? I heard from my assistant that you haven't contacted him." Her voice was flat, less coquettish than before, as if she was doing her job. My sister was sitting lazily in the passenger seat, and when she heard Jessica's voice, she raised her eyebrows unhappily. I said, "I won't take any roles recently. I have other arrangements. I'm driving. I'll hang up first." Jessica didn't say much, but before hanging up the phone, a thin male voice came through the car stereo clearly. "Is William still bothered by the play Fate?" "Jessica, I'm sorry, it's all my fault." I took a deep breath, met my sister's inquiring eyes, and said, "I can negotiate the termination of the contract myself. Don't worry." Due to the face of Jessica's family company, most of the commercial terms of the contract are in my favor, and even if I breach the contract, it will not cause much impact. If you have anything, come to me. Drop me off at the next intersection. I'll go find Shun." My sister nodded, but her voice suddenly stopped. She looked out the window awkwardly. "Olivia is in Beijing on a business trip. When you finish your business, we'll go back to South City together." Until I finished discussing all the termination matters, Jessica didn't seem to have received the news. In the past, whenever I had a little bit of trouble, she would always know it first, fearing that I would encounter problems. On the day I decided to quit the circle, I even worried that Jessica would stop me. I prepared a Weibo to send out the official announcement on time, and I smiled. I think too much. I was relieved it was good this way, an ambiguous beginning, a clean end. After the Weibo was sent out, I came out of the shower and there were several missed calls on my phone, some from my parents, friends in the circle, and producers and directors who had good relationships. My sister also called me, and her voice was urgent. Is it convenient to stay at home? I'll go over now. It wasn't until she showed up at my door with sweat on her forehead that I knew that the hot search had exploded. Jessica and Ryan went in and out of the country together, and photos of hotels and attractions were exposed. It happened that I officially announced my retirement again. Many people joked that the lethality of Bai Yue Guang was so great that you could see it from William's Weibo that he retired from the circle overnight. I stared at the highly praised comment on the screen, but there was actually no ripple in my heart. My sister also called me, and she said hurriedly, "Is it convenient to stay at home? I'll go over now." It was not until she showed up at my door with sweat all over her forehead that I realized that the trending search had exploded. Jessica and Ryan went in and out of the country together, and the photos of hotels and scenic spots were exposed everywhere. It happened that I officially announced my retirement from the entertainment circle. For a while, many people joked about how powerful Bai Yue Guang was. Just look at William S. Weibo that he retired from the entertainment circle overnight, and you can see at a glance. I stared at the highly praised comment on the screen, and my heart was surprisingly calm, without any ripples. "William, are you okay? I have asked someone to delete the post. Don't take it to heart." I wanted to say no, but Olivia's family is in politics. I don't care, but their family may not care. And I was really determined not to have anything to do with Jessica anymore. Jessica contacted me the day after she returned to Beijing. The trending searches had been removed, and the news of my retirement also gradually cooled down. Jessica asked me to meet her at her apartment. When the door opened, she was standing at the door, wearing high heels and unbuttoning her coat, as if she had just arrived. She curled her lips and spoke with a heavy nasal tone. "William, why did you retire? Is it because you believe the rumors about me and Ryan on the internet?" I said that I only felt guilty about her. "Or do you not believe that I love you?" I pursed my lips tightly, and the scenes of her saying she loved me in the past flashed through my mind like a movie. Before Ryan came back, I might still have believed it. I raised my head, looked directly into her questioning eyes, and said calmly, "I just want to take a break. I've been filming nonstop in the past few years, and it's too tiring. My grandfather just happened to be returning to China, and there are a lot of things to do at home, so I plan to go back." I deliberately avoided mentioning it to Ryan. Before leaving Beijing, I really didn't want to conflict with her again. I just truthfully stated my future arrangements. Of course, I didn't mention the matter of the arranged marriage. Jessica breathed a sigh of relief and reached out to hold my arm. I dodged her without leaving any trace, walked around her, and went to the TV cabinet. I opened the drawer and planned to take the cold medicine. After all, I caught a cold after the tossing and turning in the past few days. But at this moment, Jessica's phone rang urgently. She hurriedly said, "William, I have a meeting, so I'm leaving first. Tell me when you go back, and I'll see you off then." Then she left in a hurry, and her voice was almost shut out by the door. During my last few days in Beijing, I met with some of my college roommates who had settled here. When they asked me about my future plans, they all sighed. "You are the most promising actor among the younger generation to win the Grand Slam, and you just quit. How cruel." I raised my lips and smiled lightly. I didn't intend to hide the fact of the arranged marriage. Marriage is secondary. The main thing is to go back and inherit the family property. My sister's urging me to do so. Everyone laughed when they heard this. Until I took the initiative to bring up Jessica, their smiles gradually disappeared and their expressions became serious. "I haven't told her about marriage. If she asks about you." I paused when the words came to my lips, thinking that Jessica probably wouldn't care about these, so I shook my head and said self-deprecatingly, "Forget it. I guess she won't ask you either." That day, we drank in the bar until midnight, until their wives called one after another to urge them to go home, and the party ended. Standing at the door of the bar, the cold wind blew, and I was instantly sober. I seldom drink, and in the past, those drinking parties that I couldn't refuse, Jessica rarely took the initiative to call to ask about it. Even if she asked, it was her assistant who would explain, "William, our Jessica is busy today. Let me call you to tell you." Later, when Ryan came back. As long as we were at the same drinking party, Jessica's phone calls were like a deadly series of calls, and she would even come in person. At that time, she would deliberately keep a distance from Ryan, but I knew in my heart that she was not here to care about me. I was really surprised when Jessica showed up at my door. After all, I was leaving Beijing the next day, and the movers were busy coming in and out. As soon as she got out of the elevator, her face darkened. "Why are you moving so suddenly? William, are you still mad at me? Or do you want to leave me?" I was stunned, and before I could say anything, Ryan followed me out of the elevator. He was wearing a custom suit, which was the work of Jessica's favorite designer. Don't always test a man's feelings like this. It's not good. Ryan grabbed Jessica's arm and pulled her back to his side, then looked at me and explained, "William, I asked Jessica to bring me to see you. Are you not planning to come back?" I glanced at the empty living room and responded casually, "I'm going to go home for a while. This house was originally rented, and the lease is about to expire, so I returned it to the landlord. The furniture has been moved out, so I won't invite you to come in. In fact, when I came to Beijing to attend university, my parents were afraid that I would not be used to living in the dormitory, so they bought me a house. Later, I got along well with my roommates, and I didn't move in until I started filming. To others, I always said that the house was rented. On the day I decided to leave, I found an agent to put the house up for sale, and the transfer was just completed 2 days ago. Jessica didn't say anything. Her eyes were fixed on my face, as if she was trying to read some emotion from it. Ryan glanced around the living room before he spoke. "Tomorrow is the press conference for my first movie after my comeback, and I want to invite you. Jessica originally said that she could just send you a message, but I think it's better to say it in person. Will you come, William?" "No, I'm on a plane tomorrow." I signed a form handed to me by the mover before I responded. Ryan's body swayed, his face full of guilt. He glanced at Jessica and lowered his voice. "William, you are blaming me. Jessica is helping me so much because we used to..." I first met Ryan, I was always impatient. Whenever he mentioned his past with Jessica, my possessiveness would instantly explode, and I even wanted to rush up and punch him a few times. But the calmer he was, the more petty I seemed, and the more Jessica stood on his side, which made me more annoyed. Later, I tried my best to avoid meeting him, and occasionally met him at activities, but I would never take the initiative to say hello. I thought this would reduce conflicts in Jessica, and I would have fewer arguments, but I was wrong. He was like a shadow that could not be shaken off and always appeared. Even on my birthday, I specifically told Jessica that I only wanted to celebrate with her, but Ryan still came. I took a step back and said in a tone that was almost indifferent, "No, I also think that the play Fate is very suitable for you. Otherwise, director Michael would not agree to let you play the role. Jessica, don't you think so?" Jessica's expression froze instantly, and it took her a long time to react. "What did you call me?" When my sister came to pick me up at the airport, she was accompanied by a girl. Looking at her appearance, I guessed that she was most likely Olivia. She was different from what I expected. Her long black hair fell straight to her waist. She wore a simple solid-colored long skirt and a well-cut wool coat. She exuded a quiet and well-behaved energy. When she smiled, her dimples were shallow and particularly moving. Seeing that she was pulling a suitcase in her hand, I hurried forward and took the initiative to say, "Let me do it." She curved her lips and whispered, "William, welcome back to South City." The voice was soft and pleasant, like a spring breeze. My sister was standing aside, laughing and joking. "Now that you have a wife, you forget about me. Didn't you see my suitcase?" I don't know why, but when I heard the word wife, my heartbeat instantly quickened. I hurriedly said to Olivia, "Just call me William." Olivia nodded obediently and called out crisply, "William." On the way to the airport, Jessica's phone calls kept coming in. I stared at the screen of my phone, but didn't answer. Her words, "I'll take you there," suddenly rang in my ears. I stared at the call log, my mind drifting away. I opened the express message and saw that the recipient had signed for it. I put Jessica's phone number on the blacklist. Before leaving, I asked someone to send a courier to the front desk of Lou's group. Inside was a short breakup letter and a bank card. The money in the card was enough to buy the apartment Jessica gave me. Time was tight, and there was no time to deal with the apartment. Olivia hesitated several times, and I thought there was nothing to hide, so I said, "She is my ex-girlfriend, so she should be considered." Olivia smiled softly, bent down to pick up the wallet that fell at my feet, and replied, "Okay." Before the plane took off, Ryan's film press conference was almost over. Lou Group has invested, and coupled with the hot searches in the past few days, the reporters were like chicken blood, asking questions one after another, most of which revolved around the relationship between Jessica and Ryan. Suddenly, a reporter asked loudly, "I heard that William quit acting and retired from the circle, and he is preparing to go home for marriage. Jessica, is this news true?" Not only me, but my sister was also attracted by the live interview. She was about to ask me, but Jessica suddenly chuckled, and her laughter was wanton and ostentatious, and her tone was full of certainty. "It's fake, he won't." Hearing this, Ryan's smile froze at his lips. I lowered my eyes, imitated Jessica's tone, and muttered in a low voice, "Why can't I do it?" Jessica and I were at our best. I once half-jokingly tested her. "Jessica, if you dare to like another man, believe it or not, I will go home and inherit the family property and find someone to marry." Jessica was so angry that she gritted her teeth, rode on me, deliberately made noises, and asked me again and again, "Who do you want to marry? Tell me, who do you want to marry?" Until I begged for mercy again and again, saying, "I don't want to marry anyone. I only want you." Now that time has passed, I finally understand the saying time has changed. Landing at Nanjing Airport, I felt relaxed instantly. I have been filming outside for many years, and I seldom go home these years, and it is rare to come back during the Chinese New Year. While I come back occasionally, I only stay for 1 or 2 days. My sister often calls me secretly, "Big Star, you can't abandon your sister, but you can't abandon your parents." Although your parents don't say it, they're looking forward to your return in their hearts. I didn't feel anything special when I came back before, but this time, I actually felt a little homesick. It was not until I saw my parents and grandfather waiting for me in the airport lobby that my heart suddenly ached, and my steps changed from brisk walking to jogging. When I stood in front of them, my throat was already blocked. "Grandpa, parents, I'm back. From now on, I will accompany you in Nanjing." My mother patted my hands and said in a crying voice, "It's good to be back. It's good to be back." When my sister came over, I had already calmed down. Olivia followed behind, pushing the luggage cart, and I hurried over to take it, smiling a little awkwardly. Olivia didn't care and greeted my grandfather, parents naturally and familiarly. "Grandpa Sue, Uncle Sue, Aunt Saw, my parents said William just came back, and your family must have a lot to talk about. I will visit again in a few days." Olivia sent us home and left. Before leaving, I called her, "Olivia, are you free tomorrow? I want to talk to you." Olivia smiled. "Okay, then come pick me up tomorrow, and I'll send you the location." The next day, I waited at Olivia's door early. As soon as she got in the car, she stuffed a delicate glass into my hand and asked with concern, "William, have you had breakfast? My mother cooked bird's nest and white fungus soup early in the morning. It's cold, so warm up your stomach quickly." South City has changed a lot. After parking the car, Olivia took me to several lively places. At noon, she found a private restaurant. When she pushed the menu in front of me, I was stunned. When I was with Jessica, I mostly catered to her taste. I ate whatever she ate. Sometimes, in order to control my weight, I simply didn't eat. I pushed the menu back to Olivia. "I'm not picky about food. Just order what you like." Olivia took the menu with a smile and ordered a few dishes. Unexpectedly, they were all my favorites. I looked at her in surprise, and she shook her head and said, "It's not your sister who said that. I wrote it down when I watched your VLOG before. I don't know if your taste has changed in the past few years." Olivia's family is in politics, but Olivia doesn't like to be constrained. As the only daughter in the family, her parents spoil her. She followed my sister to start a business and open her own company. Olivia looked at me seriously, her eyes sparkling, and said word by word, "What I mean is that I am your fan. You can continue to do your favorite career without any worries." "William, passion is important." Until the evening, Olivia's words were still echoing in my mind. I used to think that Olivia's family had too many rules and that it was not appropriate for an actor to marry into Olivia's family. But now Olivia has made me understand that passion is the most important thing. In the first few years after my debut, I loved shooting vlogs to record every detail of my work in life. Sometimes I would take my agent out for a beer and barbecue supper. Sometimes I would run in the morning and at night to get in shape, and even hang on a wire for a whole day to overcome my fear of heights. Later, Jessica told me that as a public figure, I had to pay attention to my image and words and deeds, so I set all my vlogs to private and never posted them again. At this moment, I suddenly sat up from the bed and suddenly realized that Olivia had been paying attention to me silently at that time. I prepared a lot of gifts when I went to visit Olivia's home with my parents. Since I agreed to the marriage, the two families have been quietly preparing for the wedding. When my parents talked to me about this, 8 out of 10 sentences were praising Olivia for her gentleness and good behavior. When we arrived at Olivia's house, the living room instantly became lively. Shun's mother has a cheerful personality, which is very different from the impression I have of Olivia's family. My mother took the initiative to take Olivia's hand and put the jade bracelet that she only wore on important occasions on weekdays on Olivia's wrist. Later, I learned that this bracelet was an heirloom in our family. Olivia is so beautiful. No wonder our little brat has been thinking about her since he was a child. As soon as my mother said this, Olivia's face turned red. I was confused and thought it was my mother joking, so I didn't take it to heart. Mother Shun greeted me with a smile and said that she grew up in the north, and her style was different from the gentle style of the South City. She would pull Father Shin's ear when she disagreed with something, and Grandpa Shin doted on her the most. I smiled and nodded, and couldn't help thinking that marrying Olivia seemed to be a good idea. I was distracted when Grandpa Shin called me over. Olivia followed me like a little tail, fearing that I would be scolded by her grandfather. "You're protecting her before we even get married." Grandpa Shun pretended to be angry, but he was actually smiling from ear to ear. I originally thought that Grandpa Shun was very majestic, but now I just felt that he was kind and amiable. "Our girl has a quick temper. You have to bear with her in the future. If she is unreasonable, tell us, and we will educate her." I quickly agreed with a smile. The wedding was scheduled for New Year's Day, which was less than half a month away. I thought that due to the tight schedule, I could only buy wedding dresses at a ready-made store, but I didn't expect that my sister had secretly customized 2 sets for Olivia. The day I accompanied Olivia to try on wedding dresses, I truly experienced what love at first sight meant. She held up the hem of her skirt, too nervous to look at me, and her voice was trembling. "Does it look good?" At that moment, it felt like fireworks exploded in my chest. It was not until then that I really realized that I was getting married. "It looks good, especially good." My eyes were inexplicably sour. Looking at her helpless appearance, I felt mixed emotions in my heart, wanting to cry and laugh. I turned my head to sort out my emotions, but I didn't expect her to be more nervous. "William, thank you for marrying me. It feels like a dream." Her voice was a little choked. I hurriedly held her hand. "You are the fool. I should be the one to say thank you. Thank you for marrying me." I wrote all the wedding invitations myself. I learned calligraphy for many years when I was a child, but I didn't expect it to come in handy at this time. As the dusk deepened, Olivia put her arms around my waist from behind. My body stiffened at first, but then relaxed. During this time, I slowly accepted her love and tried to adapt myself. "Sorry, I scared you." Olivia let go of her arms and took a step back. I turned around and met her lonely eyes. My heart softened. I went forward to hug her in my arms and kissed the top of her head. "It's okay. You'll get used to it if you scare her a little bit." Her eyes lit up instantly, and she smiled, tiptoed, and gently touched my lips. I couldn't help it anymore, so I held her waist tightly and kissed her lips. Love is really unpredictable, but makes people full of joy. When I was immersed in the painting, my sister suddenly rushed into the study. I glared at her unhappily until Olivia nervously broke free from my arms. I turned around and grabbed the brush to continue writing the wedding invitations, but my heart was beating fast and my hand was shaking slightly. During these days with Olivia, I realized more and more that although beautiful things appear late, everything is just right. Jessica found that she couldn't contact me Her voice was trembling with nervousness. She asked her assistant to check my schedule first and only felt relieved after confirming that I had returned to South City. She thought I was still angry about the movie Fate, so she didn't contact me again. It was the same in the past. When she made me unhappy, I would just ignore her because I was too lazy to coax her. After a few days of acting coquettish, I would be fine. But this time, she didn't expect me to block her directly. Ryan also advised her not to indulge my temper, otherwise it would be bad for both of us in the future. So she ignored me as usual, but more than a month has passed, and I still haven't removed her from the blacklist. That day, the assistant brought in a courier. Jessica, when I was handing over the work at the front desk, I found that William sent you a courier a month ago. Jessica's eyelids twitched for no reason, and she couldn't wait to open it. Inside was a bank card and a handwritten letter. The content of the letter was simple. If nothing unexpected happens, we should not see each other again. Jessica, I wish you peace and happiness every year. She asked the assistant to check the balance of the bank card, which was $8 million. Jessica suddenly remembered that I asked her about the market value of the apartment on my birthday, and she casually said $8 million at that time. She was so angry that she almost laughed, picked up the car keys, and rushed to the apartment. When she opened the door and saw the keys and cards placed alone on the entrance cabinet, her throat tightened instantly, as if it was strangled by an invisible hand. She hurriedly checked back and forth in the living room and bedroom. Those photos that once carried our memories and the figurines she gave me were all gone, as if our past had never existed. She went to ask a few of my close friends, but the answers she got were all the same, all vague. At this point, she seemed to wake up from a dream and realize that I might really leave her completely. Just 3 days before my wedding, Jessica called me. Her voice was icy cold, mixed with anger. William, you've gone too far this time. You just left a breakup note and a bank card. Do you think we're over? Do you know? Before she finished her words, the phone was snatched away by Ryan. Ryan's voice was still as calm as always. William, do you know how anxious Jessica has been these days? We are all men. We have to give in to Jessica and not make her sad. Oh, by the way, I heard that you're getting married soon. Is it true? I was busy making a cake in the kitchen at the time. Olivia walked in with my phone. I didn't think much about it and let her answer the phone. She turned on the speakerphone. Hearing the voice, my sister rushed into the kitchen first. I was concentrating on spreading the cream and responded perfunctorily. Yeah, what's the matter? I'll hang up if there's nothing else. There was an obvious pause on the other end of the phone, and then there was a sound of something falling to the ground, followed by Jessica's unbelievable voice. William, tell me, who are you going to marry? Have you forgotten that you told me before that you would not marry? Jessica's words became more and more unpleasant. I was afraid that my sister would scold me directly, so I quickly interrupted her. You also said that was before. Now I'm getting married. Is there a problem? On the wedding day, my sister was on high alert, fearing that Jessica would come to disrupt the wedding. As it turned out, she really came. She didn't go to the banquet hall, but went straight into Olivia's dressing room. Olivia was sitting in the makeup chair, and the makeup artist was helping her touch up her makeup. Jessica clenched her fists, and it took her a long time to find her voice. She stood behind Olivia, staring at Olivia in the mirror, and asked, Olivia, is William going to marry you? Are you familiar with each other? Just get married? Does he love you? When I arrived with my people, I just heard Jessica's question. Seeing Ryan behind her, my heart that was originally hanging fell to the ground instantly. Ryan pulled Jessica's arm and whispered, Jessica, stop making trouble. Since William has decided to get married, let's bless him. Okay. Ryan followed Jessica to South City, which I didn't expect. What surprised me even more was that during the time I was away from Beijing, the two of them had not officially reunited. I walked to Olivia's side and confronted Jessica. This was the first time that I felt a deep dislike for Jessica. Jessica, do you have any urgent business with my wife? In the early years, Olivia's family had a much higher status in Beijing than it does now in South City. Later, their family withdrew and returned to South City. Judging from Jessica's reaction, she should know Olivia's identity. But she still sneered. Olivia get married, so what? What's the matter with stealing my boyfriend? Olivia was so angry that she wanted to fight. My sister was quick-witted and rushed in with a baseball bat, hitting Ryan and slapped Jessica twice. All the resentment she had accumulated against Jessica over the years was vented out at once. Jessica's face turned pale instantly. Ryan gritted his teeth and didn't say a word. When my sister was tired of beating him, Ryan stood up and looked at Jessica with a painful face. "Okay, Jessica, come back with me, okay?" Jessica kept shaking her head and ignored Ryan, just covering her mouth. Tears kept falling down, staring at me. "Jessica, it's almost good enough. It will be too much if you act again," I said sarcastically. Over the years, because of Jessica, I have almost no scandals in the circle. She never admitted our relationship, did not respond, or make it public. Until now, we have parted ways. She mentioned our past, and in front of Ryan, which I think is really ridiculous. I walked out of the dressing room with Olivia in my hand. Jessica and Ryan were surrounded by people my sister brought with her. My sister glanced at Jessica and said coldly, "Since you are here, why don't you give me a gift?" Jessica was almost forced to watch the wedding ceremony of Olivia and me. As soon as the ceremony was over, she was sent to the hospital with Ryan. My sister also asked someone to transfer Ryan to another hospital on the spot. It took nearly 11 hours for the ambulance to drive from Nanchung to Jingshi. I heard that Jessica was silent all the way. No matter what Ryan said, she didn't respond. Olivia was changing in her toast dress. I mentioned this to her. She was a little depressed and asked me with her lips tightly pursed, "Will you be unhappy? Or do you feel a little sorry for her?" I was stunned. I wanted to tell her that Jessica and I were over, but I didn't expect that she would be jealous. Before I could answer, Olivia held up the hem of her skirt and walked toward the banquet hall. As she walked, she deliberately stretched out her tone. "Oh, the skirt is so heavy. Is there any kind person who can help me?" I smiled softly, walked forward to help her hold up the hem of her skirt, and said, "Silly, it's not that I feel sorry for her, but I think her trip was unnecessary. I should move on, and in front of me is you." Later, when I was toasting, I unexpectedly saw director Michael. Olivia greeted him familiarly. "I thought you wouldn't come." Michael's eyes were smiling as he looked at me and Olivia. When William said he was going to get married, I wondered which daughter had such charm that she even quit the entertainment industry. If I had known it was you, I would definitely not agree. "Isn't this a seduction of my good actor?" Olivia gently touched Michael's glass with her wine glass and said with a smile, "It's not too late. I've booked the next play for my husband." Michael took a sip of wine and looked at me. "There's a script that is more suitable for you than fate." The movie Michael mentioned is called Silent Reading. The following fall, Olivia was by my side, and Fate was scheduled to be released on National Day. Taking advantage of my free time, Olivia and I went to the cinema to watch the movie. Ryan, who was originally scheduled to star in the film, did not make it to the screen in the end. The news that he forced Jessica to marry him but was rejected instantly became a hot topic and stayed on the internet for many days. Michael found Jessica, and after some discussion, the two replaced the actors. In order to suppress this wave of negative news, Jessica quickly announced her marriage. As my sister said, her destiny is to get married. After the release of Silent Reading, it quickly became popular. With this work, I won the Grand Slam of Best Actor. During the interview, a reporter curiously asked, "You chose to quit the circle and then came back. What did you experience in between?" I looked at Olivia, who was holding a camera in the audience, and recalled seriously, "I met a person who told me that passion is important. I also want to take this opportunity to tell her that after having her, my life has been complete." That night, Olivia and I hugged each other tightly, not wanting to let go for even a moment. Later, I learned that Jessica was also present at the film press conference. 3 years into my marriage, I kept repeating to Olivia, "Passion is important, and so is you." In the 5th year of my marriage, I accidentally found a notebook in my study room, which recorded my entire life in detail. Olivia remembered every movie, every event, every important moment, and even the hobbies I mentioned casually in my VLOG. I flipped through the pages, and my eyes fell on the first photo. It was a young Olivia, about 3 or 4 years old, sitting on the steps, holding a lollipop bigger than her face, looking very cute. Olivia walked into the study and saw the notebook in my hand. She looked a little confused and nervous. I smiled and took her into my arms, jokingly saying, "Olivia, you are really good at hiding things." Later, Olivia talked about the photo. It turned out that when she was 3 years old, Grandpa Shun brought her to my house to play. At that time, I was 4 years old. In order to comfort her crying, I gave her a lollipop. At that time, I asked in a baby voice, "Will you marry me in the future?" Although the 3-year-old Olivia didn't understand much, she wanted the candy, so she replied crisply, "Yes." Seeing this, the two old people made a marriage contract. Years passed, and I never mentioned it to Olivia. During those dark and confused days, I was wandering alone, and her appearance was like a bullet that hit my heart and lit up my world like fireworks. Her love, intertwined with my love for the performing arts, made my life complete. In the days to come, we will continue to work together to lead a life full of love and hope.